All right, so in the last video, I talked a bit about how much to charge, how much bartending services cost, and why. Well, partly why. Let's get into how much you will probably keep. First, you should know that this is just my perspective, and my examples are based on what I have going on. As I always say, there isn't a one-size-fits-all way to operating a mobile bartending business. Comparable services may or may not have the same or similar expenses or operate in the way in which that I operate. So you may or may not have the same or similar expenses. I'm solely speaking from a single member, sole owner, it's just me perspective. I also have my own customs, courtesies, and service standards. And I'm just specifying this just because it does play a major role in the operational costs and expenses of my business. Okay, so just for the sake of comparison, I want to give you an idea of what I mean by that. So, for example, there are some mobile bartending services or businesses or business owners who have a spouse or some sort of help. And having a spouse can play a major role in the success and financial gains of your business. Like how much you'll spend and how much you'll keep. And I just feel like this is fair to mention because, short story. So I made a TikTok account, then fast forward, something told me to search mobile bartending businesses. And down the rabbit hole I went. But anyway, I came across something that was really interesting to me. One woman in particular really stood out to me because she was transparently sharing her operational costs. Now, this is just an example of how having a spouse can play into the operational cost of your business. This is what she and others that I've noticed aren't telling you when they're on these platforms, telling you how much money they make. Really just all to bait you into buying their ebook or course. Now, no shade, can't knock the hustle, get your money. However, I cannot sit back and just let that fly. But as I mentioned, this is also to continue from the previous video, how much does mobile bartending cost? If you haven't watched it, then go watch it. If you're not sure where to start with your pricing, it should help. And then for those who have, that was actually a low quote. I did it that way just for the sake of example. I've since rearranged my pricing structure again to cover the increased operational costs, including better help. But anyway, there's a lot of you coming into this business and relying on content and people who are seemingly in this successful space to help you get started and decide if this is something that you really want to do. Now, not sure if you know, but mobile bartending has been a thing. Since 2009, when I first started bartending, mobile bartending was already a thing. It's just that now with social media, it's become more popularized and mainstream. The business in 2024 to start, I think. But with that, some people are just doing what some people do, and that's looking to profit off the ignorance of others. Gassing you, selling you the how-to, but not really giving you the full story. Now, understand me clearly. There are some mobile bartending coaches who are genuinely offering their help to new mobile bartenders trying to navigate the space. There are others who have been operating since 2022 who are coming on these platforms and not telling you the full story.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I just got a $1,200 deposit while making this video. This is insane.
And then they'll say something like, easily make 6 figures, start your mobile bartending business today. We must have different ideas about what easy is. While mobile bartending can be a very rewarding business to have and operate, I personally think it's important to understand what you're really getting yourself into and the financial hiccups that you may encounter before investing time and money, spending hundreds, even thousands of dollars on ebooks, courses, and mobile bartending equipment. But the thing with these people is all about how much they make and encouraging you to do it too. Rarely do they tell you how much they keep and how they keep it. I mean, ultimately, how you manage your money is your own business, but I feel like if you're gonna tell people how much money you make and encouraging them to do what you do, tell them the rest. Tell them how much you keep. Now, when it comes to other people's businesses, I don't truly know. I'm not in their business. This is just an assumption, speculation, an educated guess based on the fact that I know a good portion of what it takes to operate a mobile bartending business. So when they say certain things, my eyebrows just kind of, and I have questions. So with the woman on TikTok transparently sharing her operational cost, she mentioned labor, marketing, and a few other things that I don't remember. I couldn't find the video when I went to pull it back up, but there were some things that I noticed that she didn't mention. For me, it was mainly her rent or mortgage. When I mentioned how having a spouse can play a role in the success and financial gains of your business,
and having a spouse can play a major role in the success and financial gains of your business.
This is what I mean. She mentioned having a husband. While all marriages differ, generally speaking, it's usually the husband's income that covers rent or mortgage expenses, just depending. I'm assuming in her case, because she didn't mention it as an expense or operational cost, she doesn't pay for it with her mobile bartending business. If she pays for it at all, she could be very well contributing to it from another business, but a lot of mobile bartending business owners, especially those just starting out, are operating from their homes. She said she operates from home. Me, I operate for the most part from home. Home office space where business is conducted is a business expense. You need a space to operate, whether that's at home or a separate brick and mortar. But just to stay focused on the home-based business, as a result, you're able to write off a portion of your rent or mortgage based on a percentage of space that you use for your business. Since she literally runs her business from home, I just wonder why she didn't mention that. Then there's also utilities. Is she paying for those things with the income from her mobile bartending business or from another business? Or is her husband covering those costs, allowing her mobile bartending operational costs and profits to be what they are? She was listing how she made $12,000 in 1 month. Many other big profits. She went through her calendar year, which is totally doable, totally possible. But I need to know more. People who operate their mobile bartending businesses from home typically have some sort of garage or separate shed that they can store everything in. The woman on TikTok mentioned having a shed. So in her case, there are no storage fees associated with her business. I, on the other hand, have storage fees, which go up every six to 8 months or so. And it's where I house all of my mobile bartending equipment. Portable bars, coolers, drinkware, that's glassware and disposables, tables, everything. For the most part, some stuff I do keep here just for easy access. Shakers, pour spouts, stuff like that. Wait, pause. I'm already getting ahead of myself. What I need to do is go back to the initial fees that occur before we even get to the rent. First things first, processing fees. There's a 2.9 to 3.3% plus 30 cents per transaction that's deducted from the processor when the client goes to pay. So when you send an invoice and the client pays that invoice, whatever processor you use to manage that transaction, to take money from their account and send it to you, charges a processing fee. If you require a deposit, which you should, that processing fee will apply to both transactions. Or I guess I should say all transactions. But just generally speaking, I typically do a deposit transaction and then a remaining balance. Both the deposit and the remaining balance gets charged those transaction fees, or processing fees. Taxes. Rarely do I ever hear anybody who's talking about how much they made saying they set aside money for taxes or possible taxes or any foreseen or unforeseen operational cost. Me, I set aside 10%. It should be more, but the way this mobile bartending thing is just going, it's tricky. That's all I can say. Then you have labor. And this is the order in which I budget. So for me, it's receive the payment from the client, there's processing fees, set aside the 10%, and then the labor. So I'm just kind of going in that order. But yeah, so anyway, labor. The woman on TikTok did mention that she pays no more than 30% for, she mentioned payroll. I don't fully know what that means for her, but 30% I guess sounds fair. Like what does she truly mean by that? But like, how much is that exactly? She said that she was not going to share actual numbers because she felt like it wasn't beneficial. But I disagree. Like for me, I want to know, like, how much are you paying people? Because I believe in paying people fairly. Now that can mean anything to anybody. So what do I mean by fair? At this moment in time, it's $20 an hour. And honestly, that's really last year's belief. I'm really trying to figure out how to pay more. For me and my experiences and just with the people that I've worked with, that's still giving kind of low. I've had industry associates tell me that $20 an hour is great for bartenders. And then there are some who have actually told me that I was overpaying. But honestly, that was coming from people who have never done the work, so I took their opinion with like a grain of salt. I truly believe that a luxury service such as mobile bartending, bringing the bar to you, and all the work that's involved should not be subjecting people to working for tip money. And even at $20 an hour, it's still based on the dependency of tips. While the nature of bartending and the expectation is to tip the bartender, there are some people who will enjoy drink after drink after drink after drink at an open bar, and in some cases overindulge. Well, a lot of cases, it depends, and then still turn around and not tip. From their perspective, I partly understand. The drinks are paid for, the bartender's paid for, I can just enjoy. But from the bartender's perspective, to do all that the job entails, for $20 an hour, the way that these bills are set up is really just giving not worth the effort. And I get it. Bartending is a hustle. That's just the nature of the business. I've been doing this for a while, so yes, I do know. But that doesn't mean that it should be. Mobile bartending specifically, the party is the party. There is no flipping seats or flipping tables. The people that are there are there. With consideration to that, tips at a private party a lot of times don't even compare to working just a regular bar job. So you have to make it worth it for people to want to show up. And then that way, if no tips were made, which sometimes happens, no one is feeling depleted. There's also a thing where you can't please everybody. Some people are just plain greedy and lazy, and there's nothing you can do about it. And the greedy and entitled person just will never be satisfied. Okay, then getting into the signature cocktails. Some mobile bartending businesses, like Milk and Honey, provide fresh cocktail ingredients. And all the ingredients that I provide are made from scratch. In some cases, a commercial kitchen space is needed. That could range from $50 to $100, just depending. There's also a significant amount of labor involved in that too. You're moving and hauling a lot of your own stuff. Juicing lemons and limes are work. It's manual labor, unless of course you have an automatic juicer, which is great if the rented kitchen has one for you to use. But if not, you'll be lugging your own back and forth. Since most mobile bartending businesses are providing ready-to-mix ingredients, store-bought mixers, there shouldn't be any cost associated with commercial kitchens. And then also, just depending on where you live, you could also do it from home. A lot of people cater from their homes. Catering companies, cake makers, the people that do like the grazing tables and charcuterie, like setups. But either way, ingredients cost. And with that, the expense varies too much for me to say, like it costs this much. And it's so tricky for me to say just because we didn't develop a menu. So there's no way of me knowing, what I'm gonna need to prepare. Then you got your service necessities: cups, napkins, straws, ice. Most mobile bartending services provide the cheapest option. We're talking 8 cents, 8 cents, 8 cents, 8 cents a cup, like for the little plastic, like little ugly, you know what I'm talking about, the little ugly cups. 8 cents a cup. You know what 8 cents a cup look like. The cups that I use, however, are $1 a cup. Well, it's really 87 cents a cup, but when you add on the tax and everything else with the shipping and all of that, it ends up being like $1 a cup. At these parties, by the time a person is on their 3rd cup, I'm looking like you don't need another cup. Like wine drinkers, for example. Drink the wine, throw the cup in the trash. Drink the wine, throw the cup in the trash. And it's just like you're drinking the same wine. Just bring me the same cup. Just bring me the cup back and let me refill it. It's no reason to be like wasteful like that. Aside from the fact that it's expensive, it's just like people are unconsciously just accumulating unnecessary, enormous amounts of trash and just throwing plastic in the trash, which is another reason why I use glassware, but you got to stay tuned for me to talk about the glassware because the glassware is a whole nother story. But anyway, I say that to say you don't need a new cup every time you get the same drink. With the cost of the cups, I aim to encourage people to reuse. A lot of times people are okay with it. It really just depends on the group, but I don't care. We reusing the cups. And as far as maintenance, we do hand wash them on site. So I'll have like, you know, my own soap and sponges and just whatever I need in order to make hand washing those cups doable. So yeah, that's how I do it. Cause I'm not about to keep, those cups are expensive. And then people want to act funny about the cost of service. And it's just like what do you want me to do? I'm not about to keep going in the negative and barely breaking even, all because y'all want to keep running through these cups. And I'm not doing a cheaper cup. I'm not doing a cheaper cup. I'm not doing a cheaper cup. But cups, napkins, and straws, those I buy in bulk. So they're not necessarily an event expense per se, like the processing fee, tax, and then labor and ingredients are. But the ice though, the ice is one of those things where you actually have to buy it for the event. I know a lot of mobile bartending businesses or mobile bartenders will not provide ice. Then you have, you know, your bar menu. It's included under like the planning and management fees or cost, which is what I pay myself for all the client communications, all the stuff leading up to the event. I pay myself a portion of what I charge. So if I charge, say, $200 for a planning and management fee, I will pay myself $170, which is making me think too. The woman on TikTok said that she pays herself for her planning and management. She said she pays herself basically substantially. I forget the word that she used, but she was like, I pay myself well. And I was like, that can mean anything. Like, what do you mean by that? Because my version of well ain't everybody's version of well. So I definitely feel like I should be earning more for my planning and management role task. It will increase just based on like the number of guests, you know, any changes or attention that I'm showing that they need throughout. So with weddings, for example, weddings tend to be a lot more work. They tend to need a lot more attention as opposed to somebody that's having, you know, a cocktail party at their house. So we have the processing fee, the 10% that we set aside, labor, ingredients. That includes both mixers and garnishes, planning and management, and then, you know, the service necessities. Really, it's just the ice that I'm considering for the cost of the actual event. Oh, and then the menu, the cost of the menu. Sometimes I'll do a solid color background. So I will send it to an outside printer instead of using my printer because I don't want to use all my ink like that. And then the color honestly just looks better. So you got your event expenses. And after you pay the event expenses or the expenses associated with that particular event, then you move into other costs. The rents, home office space, storage space, a brick and mortar if you have one separately, utilities, vehicle expenses. You got gas, oil changes, tires, brakes. You got your insurances, you got your car insurance, Equipment insurance. I have insurance for some of my mobile bar equipment, including my business equipment insurance, like my computer, for example. General and liquor liability insurance, renters and homeowners insurance, just depending on which one you have. I'm skipping all over the place here because now I'm going to marketing. So marketing, the woman on TikTok mentioned, and how she pays $300 a month. She pays $300 a month to be listed on one of the wedding platforms. Now, I personally don't feel like that's necessary. I would much rather put that money into my own site and find other creative ways to market. $300 a month, like you can do a lot with $300 a month, or I can at least. I can do a lot with $300 a month, but different strokes for different folks. All of Milk and Honey's marketing I do. So for me, web design is free. I have a domain that costs, business email, and then, the site host. Illustration and editing software for me is an expense, is a business expense. All the visuals you see is me. Pictures, content, filming, editing, all me. You have office and bookkeeping expenses. Everything that I just mentioned, for the most part, are monthly expenses. Some, like the website, business cards, stuff like that, those are few and far between. My website is a yearly expense. I actually pay for my website every 2 years, and it's already time to pay up. When broken down month to month or month by month, it is $22 per month, but because I pay for it for 2 full years, it's $528. Tires and brakes, for example. This is not a monthly expense, but it is a necessary expense to be able to do mobile bartending. I just paid $400 for 2 new front tires. There's a lot of driving. There's a lot of, at least in Georgia, where I'm going to these venues that are, far out. There's a lot of like unpaved roads, so I'm driving over gravel, and just the ultimate wear and tear on just driving long distances and driving often. So my next scheduled maintenance, I'm already looking at $1,000 because I got to get new brakes in addition to whatever else, the car is needing. Aside from if you have a car note. I'm just saying. This is just why I say if there's a spouse, it can benefit someone's business. Or if you live with a roommate or, something like that. At the end of the day, most people have to be doing something else to make ends meet. While mobile bartending is just a side hustle or just hobby work. Maybe an add-on to an existing service that you have of some sort, or you can add to the existing business that is mobile bartending to generate more income that way. Equipment rentals, for example. My base service does not include portable bars. You have to rent that separately. I do it this way mainly because a lot of people that hire Milk and Honey already have some sort of structure for us to serve from, or for me to serve from. Built-in home bars, kitchen islands in some cases. I've even used a baby's changing table one time because things just got lost in translation, and that's the only thing that we had. I didn't have time to go get a table just with the location and the time frame and all these different things. It really just depends on your ability to be creative. I just say that to say not everybody needs for me to bring an actual bar. So for those that do need for me to bring it, it is an additional cost with consideration to the fact that it's extra stuff that I have to bring. So yeah, it's more work. So I'm gonna charge for that. This is also where, multiple events in a day come into play. However, you have to have a reliable team in order to do that. Trustworthy and dependable people. Specifically, get people that are helping you generate income and maintain the income. Not just people coming around looking for a check. And frankly, this is where I struggle the most, depending on and working with others. It is a challenge. I'm getting better though. Ultimately, I say the same thing. Every mobile bartending business is different. The women on TikTok only mentioned a few expenses, which isn't realistic for everyone. If you're like me, single, head of household, you may want to team up with someone who's going to meet you halfway. Operate together, split the cost. Someone that's helping you bring in events. It's very hard to do this on your own. And then to depend on it, like as your main source of income, the stress, y'all see, some of y'all have seen. I can only kick it to you straight. If you want a facade, there's other people doing the facade, the glitz and the glamour. If you want the real deal, I'll tell you both the positive and the not so great sides of mobile bartending. Some of the stuff that I've pulled off single-handedly, a lot of times, the physical labor, the physical stuff that I do alone, my best advice, honestly, is to talk to your inner self, talk to God about it, and do whatever you're led to do. And if you only need to charge $500, then that's for you to do. But anyway, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.